being married 23 years and being together 30, it's hard work to be married. It's not, people don't realize, I think, when they get married that it's hard work. It doesn't stop then. That's actually your start point. You know what I mean? It's not your finish line.
Welcome to Normalizing Non-Monogamy, the podcast where we interview incredible people from all over the world to hear their personal journeys of self-discovery through the lenses of love, sex, and relationships.
Our mission is to show people that they're not alone and to inspire them to embrace their true selves so that together we can open minds and live authentically without shame.
We believe everyone's story is powerful and beautiful, yet it's important to remember that everyone does life a little bit differently and that the views and opinions expressed by our guests do not necessarily reflect our own.
Additionally, we aren't doctors. Please consult a medical professional for anything regarding your health that you might learn about on the show. Enjoy!
Well, welcome to episode 320. We're Finn and Emma, and today we have a lovely interview with Rose and Spade. They've been married for 23 years and in the swinging world for about 17. However, they took a long break in the middle.
Yeah, you're going to find out that one of the things that we have in common with Rose and Spade is that we met in middle school.
That's true.
And we haven't been together quite that long. But
We
yeah,
did meet in middle school.
We did. I think, as you also said, I think one of the really great threads of this conversation is the difference of being able to get into swinging early on, young, is similar to the way we did, but then taking like a 10-year break and then coming back into it. And so you kind of have some exploration in that world with two different stages of life and two very different perspectives. And I just thought that was really interesting.
Yes, this is an absolutely lovely discussion, and we're so grateful to both Rose and Spade for coming on and sharing with us.
Yeah. Couldn't be more thrilled. Thank you both for reaching out. And hey, that's a quick reminder that if you're out there listening, you could reach out.
You could. If you want to come and be a guest on the show, send us an email, send us a voicemail. We would love to hear from you.
Yeah. Rose and Spade have nothing to sell here other than being awesome, amazing people and their love for open relating. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So with that, we're going to jump into the episode for anybody who is a premium subscriber. And for the rest of you, well, we have a couple of very quick thank yous.
Yes.
More than anything. So this is actually going to be the same intro for the premium subscribers Sorry
to trick you, but it will be short.
April Fools.
We just wanted to say this is, the last episode that we'll publish in the year 2023. And we just want to say a huge thank you to all of you listeners, anyone who out there who has been on the podcast, who has listened, who has supported us, who is part of our community, who has been to a meet and greet, who has
use the links for STD check.
Yes, sent us an email.
Come to Southwest Love Fest and supported us there, joined some of our workshops, met us at our speed dating.
Yes.
Like, we've been all over the country and we've met so many of you and it has been amazing. Who came to the retreat in January last year.
Yep.
And to everybody who's joined our community.
January this year.
This year. It's not last year yet.
No, it's still 2023.
Yes, for just a few more hours. But yeah, so I think just a huge thank you to everybody who's joined our community this year. And even those of you who've left and are still around, but just it wasn't a right fit right now. So just thank you to everybody for being a part of this thing that we're trying to build.
Yes, we're so incredibly grateful. It would not be possible without each and every one of you, however you are involved. Thank you.
Yeah. And with that, we just want to remind everybody, if you want to find out more information about any of our guests, Rose and Spade included, you can head over to our website, normalizingnonmonogamy.com. You can click on the podcast tab and you can see show notes for everything that everybody talked about, including links to specific resources and photos of our guests.
You can also find information about our virtual meet and greets on the events tab, about our community on the community tab, and go and check out our favorite way to get tested for STIs over on the resources tab on stdcheck.com.
And with that, we'll jump in to this wonderful conversation with Rose and Spade, and we will see everybody on the other side.
Let's go. Welcome to the podcast, Spade and Rose. We're excited to talk to you today and glad that you're here. We would love for you to start just by introducing yourselves.
I'm Rose. We've been married for 23 years. We live in upstate New York, and we've been swinging for quite a long time. And I'm a psychiatric nurse practitioner.
Awesome.
Beautiful.
Hi, I'm Spade. And as she said, we've been married a little over 23 years. We actually hit our 23-year anniversary this year. We got married in the year 2000 on purpose so I always knew what year anniversary it was.
There we go. Perfect.
That's smart. That's smart.
Made it easy for them.
There you go.
We've been together. We met when we were 13 or 14 years old, and we didn't mention our ages, but we're about a month away from the exact midpoint of our 40s. So
Perfect.
yeah, today's what, the
42.
21st? Yeah, so we're almost 45. We're both
Almost.
we're 3 days apart on our birthdays next month, and so that'll be the midpoint of the 40s. But yeah, we met when we were 14ish, 13, on and off through the high school years, and we were 21 when we got married. So, and it's, and like she said, the swinging thing for the reason the Non-Monogamy podcast. Yeah, that started quite a while ago as well. 17 plus years.
Cool.
Love it. Well, for astute listeners who know, we met in 7th grade, so I don't remember what age I was then.
Around
Yeah, that's what it was. It was 7th and 8th grade for us.
Yep.
Yeah.
Perfect. Well, you got a few years on us, but not Emma, but me for sure. So,
Not many.
Not many. Well, we're excited to talk today, and yeah, I mean, how about we just? We would love to hear how did swinging come up for the two of you?
So back, like I said, we were back together in our teens. We actually kind of fooled around with it a little bit. We would have parties. Like my mother would go away for like a 3-day weekend, and I'd have a party, and we'd have a lot of people over. We were kind of together on and off, like I said, and we would have like kissing contests with other people. We'd get like 3 or 4 people of 3 girls, 3 guys, or whatever. We just sit there and rotate the kissing, and then everybody would vote who was the best kisser. So that was kind of the first thing that I kind of remember.
And I'm pretty sure it was our idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Quite certain it was our idea. And then through the years, I know as we got older, late teenager parties, high school parties, there was times where we'd be doing same room stuff with other people. There's a party where there was a hot tub, and you get started in a hot tub, but you don't want to do stuff in the water, but on the edge is usually okay. And we didn't really care if people were around, so we did stuff like that. And then actually, I don't remember if it was after we got married or right before we got married, we had discussions with one set of friends about possibly swapping.
Yeah, I think
nothing ever came of it, but we did discuss it.
I'm pretty sure that we were engaged, and good friends of ours, we had them over, good friends, but not like really good friends, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we'd gone out with them one night and, drinking, having a good time and conversations and everything else. And one thing led to another. They ended up back at our place, but we all decided that it wasn't going to happen. But, that was probably our first time thinking about it like that, I suppose. And then after that.
Then I think it was like, I want to say early 2006.
Yeah.
I know I can go back and look at the join date on SLS because the join date's February of 2006. So I know it was prior to that, but I came home from work one day and she's like, "Hey, I signed us up for this website."
Okay. So it wasn't like out of the blue. Like I'm like, "Hey, no." I mean, we have had conversations previous to that, excited conversations about, other people joining us or whatever. So it wasn't totally like, hey, I, totally surprised him. But I was home. I was home with, an infant and bored, probably. I don't know. So I don't remember a lot of that. But
yeah, it's well, I don't remember very much. I know it wasn't SLS that was the site. It was some really whack site. Like I don't even think it's around anymore. Like not digital underground, digital playground, something like that. I don't remember exactly. But she showed me it. I looked at it. I started looking into research.
Then he started to hyperfixate and figure out a better site to go to.
And what's sad is the better site was Swing Lifestyle, which actually I don't think has been updated since 2006. And so
I agree.
It's not. I know. It's not a great site interface wise, but if you want to look at the amount of people on it, it is better than all the others.
And it used to be one of the only ones. I think that was actually decent enough.
Yeah, because I know you guys promoted Cassidy for a while and actually used your link for that 6 months, which we're still in. And I tried out SDC as well. I know everything's pretty much locational based. SDC seems to be mostly southeast or along the eastern seaboard. I like to say Cassidy has they follow the realm of where all the natural disasters happen along the United States. It starts down in Florida, up and over along the bottom where all the hurricanes hit, and then you get all the earthquakes and stuff up the left hand side.
There you go. There you go. They're a predictor of natural disasters. So I love it. Well, I mean, yeah, I know we're dogging on all the websites, and we've talked to a few people in the know, and really what my understanding is anytime they try to make changes, and we can attest to this, we tried to change our music one time, and I swear we were going to have our own natural disaster. So people don't like change. And so even though everybody complains about how shitty they are not allowed to change them. So it's kind of a rock and a hard place, but we get it.
It's a pain. And like I said, I know our email that I gave you, the Spade and Rose 22 or whatever, that was our username for all the newer ones. It is different on SLS. So, I mean, it's weird. I wish I could go back and change it, but because it's such an old site, I would lose all my history, which I don't want to do.
That's right. That's right. Those are archives.
Yeah.
So I love to, you said well, you came home from work, Rose had signed you up, but also you two had sort of been open since the beginning, right? And I think that's an amazing journey. And I mean, I will say ours is not a whole lot different. A little bit different, but that sort of, you're just kind of fooling around, learning who you are through those early days.
And it's already always part of the conversation.
Right. But it sounds like it sort of went off the table more or less in your early 20s and then came back on. And I'm curious, did something happen to bring it back? It sounds like you had a kid and you were sitting at home bored. So I would love to sort of hear what brought it back to the forefront. And then once you jumped onto the sites, where did that take you to?
So I think early on, before, we'd gotten married or whatever, we kind of play with the idea. We're both big flirts. So it was just natural for us, to think outside the box, I guess. But then, so at that point, we had actually had 3 children. When I had, so maybe I was sick of being at home. I don't know. But, so, I don't remember the rest of the question.
So at that time we had 3 children, and that's when we joined you guys, kind of where we went along the road to even almost up to now. We did have a 4th child since. They're all old now. Our youngest is a sophomore in high school, and the other ones have all passed the high school age. But some of them still live here, and that's why I said we're hiding in the basement a little bit or whatever. But so as we were not, I wouldn't say heavy, but
active. We
were active for a good 3, 4, 5 years when we first started out back in that 2006 timeframe. And, we did the parties, the social club, stuff like that. We didn't really do a lot of hotel parties back then. But, we'd go out, you'd meet couples, all that kind of stuff. And then we decided that we wanted to better our financial situation. And we both kind of went back to college one at a time. So by this time we had 4 children. I was working full time, and I was going to school full time to finish my college degree to get that cool engineering degree that you guys have. Because I know that you guys have that.
I could have just told you mine. I stopped using it. So.
I'll tell you the truth. I don't even know if I need it. I already did all the same work. I just had a piece of paper and now said I could.
Yeah.
Isn't that a good system?
And it's crazy that changed. I mean, just my income alone changed by 30-something% just by doing that. So as we were doing it, and then as soon as I graduated, she went back to finish up what she had started previously with the whole nursing and psychiatry stuff. And with all that, I mean, that takes up a lot of time. So this became a back burner thing for us.
Yeah.
I mean, 4 kids working full time and in school full time. You don't have time for anything else.
Nothing.
And all that time, the kids are starting to get into sports too, which that as ththese kids got older and older, their sports took up the majority of our time where we weren't working or sleeping.
Yeah,
definitely.
And as you said, we're older now and they're older. We only have one left that's doing any of that stuff, that we had more time available. So we started discussing it, I don't know, last year or late last year, 2022 or whatever. You're like, hey, you want to go back and start meeting people again? So that's kind of where we're at now. And this time around, we have been doing more of the stuff we didn't do back then because we didn't have the
ability, really.
Ability, financial stuff, ability
Time.
to go farther away. And so we've done a couple of the hotel parties and stuff, and we like that. It's a cool atmosphere. It's for us, I think.
Yeah. I'm curious, back when you turned it on, let's say you became official swingers, right? We're giving you a new title, official swingers. When you turned it official
and got on the website,
you got on the websites, right? Well, I'm curious what that transition was like, because you, like we said, you had done a lot of these types of things. You both seemed open to it, but there is a difference between talking about it, thinking about it, flirting about it, and hey, we're actually going to go meet people, and then sex may actually happen. Like, what was that? What were those early days like of like, hey, this is real now?
Yeah, there was, it wasn't all like rainbows and roses. It was definitely an adjustment. There was a lot of things we had to work through, grow through with our relationship. We were very communicative already, but I feel like we had to be even more so. And yeah, I mean, there was definitely adjustments. There was hiccups. There was, I don't think there was ever really jealousy or anything like that, but there was some things that we had to, okay, that happened. We have to talk about this. And are we going to do this moving forward? It was a lot of, I wouldn't say blunders, but a lot of like unknowns going through Candyland, right? Just trying to figure out the path of what works for us. So I think once we got a good
More
pattern down.
Dealing with other people's stuff.
Yeah,
Really.
I really do feel like a lot of it was other people's stuff that we had to deal with. And we didn't enjoy the drama. We're not drama people, didn't want to deal with any of that crap. So I'm very good at picking out red flags. So maybe too much.
We were kind of full speed ahead right off the bat. I know there's like I don't know if you want to call it a step through things.
No.
To this day, I don't think we've still never soft swapped.
No.
It was full swap right away. And
yeah.
I mentioned this, the join date on SLS. I could tell by the certs we had or whatever they're called. We were doing stuff within a week or two. Yeah. 2 to 3 weeks I see old certs on there still. Mm-hmm. So I know we were out meeting people and doing stuff.
Yeah.
And it was exciting, but like she said, on our end, we were pretty good. We've been strong, I think, all along. It was dealing with the situations that were, I call it stuff from the outsiders, really.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You were in your mid-ish 20s at this time, which I'm curious, like at that time too, what was that like at that age? Because I think that we don't talk to too many people that kind of are in the swinging scene in their 20s. I think it's more and more, but just curious.
Yeah, I think we've always been the older people, like in all of our friend groups or anything. We're just, I don't know, we matured really fast, I think. And so we didn't feel like we were young, but you could tell, like when we went to parties or events or anything like that, we were the new meat, the young meat, right? Mm-hmm. So there was that. Which was nice in a way. There was a lot of attention, which was fun off the bat. But yeah, we've been able to hang out with anybody, pretty much any age, and have conversations. So it never seemed like we were like really that much younger than a lot of the folks that we were with. We did meet a bunch of friends through there, which was really nice, like people that we have connected with to this day. And there are some people, like he was heavy in the forums at SLS, and we became friends with a group of people that were
throughout the United States.
Yeah, throughout the United States. And we met in New York City and Florida for like just group hangouts. We, nothing really happened, but we felt like we connected personality wise. And, some of them were in their 40s or 50s, maybe even 60s.
Yeah, they definitely were. There were some. I know you guys mentioned it when you started. You were mostly hanging out with people that were older than you. And it was kind of the same for us. There wasn't as many people that were our age either then.
Yeah, I think too, being younger, and being younger when we were married too. A lot of our friends weren't married yet. They didn't have kids yet. Our youngest is a lot of our friends' ages of their oldest, or I mean, they're
Our youngest is older than most of our friends' oldest kid.
Yeah. So when we go out and meet people, we were meeting people with the same type of situation, but maybe we were a little bit younger.
Yeah. That makes sense. And in that time, I guess you said, you explored it for a little while before kind of pulling back because of life.
Mhm.
Does anything stand out, I guess, from those years or time? I don't actually know. I'm saying years, but I don't know how long it was.
It was one full swap.
The time off was good, almost 10 years.
Yeah.
We didn't,
But before that,
we didn't have to deal with this during COVID at all, which,
yeah.
as I've gone through and listened to old stuff, and I still read the forums on SLS too. And I've kind of did that most of the time along. I'd take breaks, but reading the forums, listening to your podcast from the COVID years, we didn't have to go through any of that. So that I think that I actually look at that as a benefit right now as well.
Totally.
Yeah, totally.
We were probably doing it for about 4 or 5 years before we stopped.
Yeah. I'm curious, like, kind of what were some of the takeaways or growth opportunities in there for each of you that you look back on, and how was it impacting yourselves individually and together?
So definitely for me, I wasn't very selective, I think, in our choices. I kind of let him steer it a little bit more. And I wouldn't say I took something for the team, but looking back now, like I just being more grown, more mature, more sure of myself. I'm a little bit more selective on who we choose to hang out with, not just looks. Maybe more so looks then. More now, it's like that connection, that personality. I'm more intrigued by the intellectual than abs. So.
Yeah.
It's a good thing because I don't have mine are hidden. I can't remember the last time they were there.
That's right.
So I think that definitely for me, and just being more sure of myself in our conversations, like, this definitely not what I want, which, being married 23 years, it's easy to do now, as far as like, I know what I want and this is what I want and I know what I don't want. And you're not going to change my mind. So here we are.
I definitely, I see that out of her. I like to say it's self-confidence for her. More assertive about, like she said, what she wants, what she's willing to do, all that kind of thing. For me, I like we mentioned it earlier. We've been pretty communicative our whole life, but I think this enhanced it a lot. Mm-hmm. We talk about a lot of stuff, and I think just the way we talk about this portion of our life helps with other stuff in our life.
Yeah.
Different subjects. So being able to talk about this stuff has definitely helped in all the other aspects of our life.
Yeah. And I think, also just lots of sex. We have lots of it. And, we have friends that, they're like, oh, you guys F like bunnies. And it's like, well, yeah, that's what makes us happy. We're conjoined. We're, you know what I mean? That's one of the ways that we communicate, and some of our friends are like, oh, we never. And I'm just like, I don't understand that. I don't know how you guys are, happy and fluid in your relationship. And, I think definitely that brought something to our lives, to make sure that we were constantly not just about the kids or about everything else in our life, right? But it was about us being partners, against the world. So
yeah. And at that time, you had young kids. That's hard to do at that, like 4 young kids, and to find that time for both of you.
Yeah.
Well, I love too the concept that sex is a communication tool, right? Because it allows you to communicate things to each other that you can't with words, right? Or other means that is a level of connection and building that is sort of unparalleled. And it's not to say that you can't have a happy, healthy relationship without sex. We know those exist, and there's nothing wrong with that. But if one of your ways of communicating is through intimacy, then it's critical to be doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And, you can tell the difference, when it's been a minute for us and we're like, all right, time to regroup because, we need to figure out why and get moving.
Yeah,
for sure.
Totally.
Yeah.
I also love too what you shared about more confidence in navigating the situations and knowing what you want, and not necessarily that you took one for the team. And I think, again, sort of mirroring some of our own experiences, were there times that one or both of us took one for the team, which is also hilarious, times where we've both taken one for the team in the same evening, and we're like, what were we doing? Like, how did we both end up?
How on earth did that just happen? Yeah.
Yeah. But I think it is common at the beginning of this journey to have a bit of a scarcity mindset. And I think that was often what would happen for us or maybe me, we'd go out and it would be like, well, we don't want to waste an evening, or, hey, we went out. Or even if we weren't feeling that way, we would get it from the other people, like, well, hey, we got a babysitter tonight, so come on. And it's like, we would both feel the pressure, and then we might go through with something that we didn't want. And so that experience is one that I think is common.
Yeah.
And hard to break.
Yeah. And
that change that mentality to like, hey, there will be another day. There will be other people.
Absolutely.
Yeah. These aren't the only people who are existing in this world.
Definitely not learning to not put yourself in situations either. Right. I think that's a big one. Knowing like, okay, yeah, these people are free and whatever, but am I really down with this? If I'm not really down with this, why even bother? We say no a lot more through messaging than we ever have, right? Because it's like, okay, that's not my preference. So why are we even engaging? So,
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And it sounds like this revisiting it over the last year and a half or so has given, like, this time around, you two have a lot more of those tools. Like, you've taken what you learned from the first time and life experience growing, being who, older and who you are now into how
wiser.
Yeah.
We're not growing older, we're growing wiser.
Into how
I think it's both.
Older's okay. I would rather be older than dead. So it's okay.
Sure. Sorry, I jumped over you.
No, like, just what, I guess I'm curious, other changes that you've noticed now in the last year and a half or so for the two of you in navigating it.
I mean, I think we're super close before, but I think it also re-engaged us again with each other just a little bit more, right? We talk all the time. There's a lot of flirting that goes on while we're at work and sending messages and things like that. And that's nice. After being married 23 years and being together 30, it's hard work to be married. It's not, people don't realize, I think, when they get married that it's hard work. It doesn't stop then. That's actually your start point. You know what I mean? It's not your finish line. Your finish line is when you're done, So I think just, kind of having that mirrored connection again, I think that's been the biggest difference since we restarted. But
yeah, I agree with everything you just said.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure what else I could add to that point.
Yeah.
I'm curious in there too, though. You touched on, maybe before it was a little more superficial. Maybe you were basing some of the experiences on looks, and you said like it shifted more. Like, I need a bit more of a connection, and I'm curious how you two thread the needle of connection. And this is where it gets murky, I think, sometimes, where the adage that we hear often, well, we're swingers, we don't do feelings, but feelings versus connection and what that looks like for you two. And I know you two didn't say we don't do feelings, but that's often what comes out of the swinging world. And I will say, right, then we often hear, oops, one of us caught feelings and we weren't ready for that. So I'm curious, like, for you two, connection versus intimacy, feelings, how you separate those and weave them together.
So
go ahead.
Okay. So for me, I think like there has to be physical attraction. Definitely. Right. But I'm not solely focused on that.
Mm-hmm.
As far as feelings go, I don't think we don't do feelings. I will say that. But as far as like that connection piece, it's not necessarily feelings. It's more being on the same wavelength with somebody else. Like, when you first meet somebody, there's that connection, there's that it's not just physical, but sometimes, there's a good conversation intellectually. You're kind of on the same page with a lot of things. We're very witty, very sarcastic people too. So humor plays into that as well. And if somebody isn't able to grasp a lot of that, I feel like there's a lacking, right? So I think that's kind of what I mean by connection.
It's hard. Obviously, a lot of what she's saying, that's hard to tell through a message with just saying words. But there, obviously, the messaging would be that's the starting point. And, there's back and forth and seeing if there's any type of rapport there to even see if there's a good starting point to even meet. But then, like you said, there's you can see a little bit in words. Sometimes you could pick up sarcasticness. Sometimes you can't. A lot of times she's like, why'd you write that? It sounds like you're an asshole. And in my head, I'm just trying to be funny and sarcastic.
Yeah. But sometimes it doesn't come across that in writing.
And I get that.
Right?
Like I said, you can't see that in writing. But, and then we'll meet. And we have no problem saying, okay, we had a couple drinks. See you later. It's nice meeting you. Bye. That's not a big deal. And I know she says, we don't catch feelings. We don't really meet people over and over and over and over again. We have done, we'll do a couple times here and there. In the whole friends with benefits thing, I know you guys talk about that a lot. Friendship that's a bonus onto this. That's not something we're looking for at all. Mm-hmm. Okay. We have a great group of friends that we grew up with since we've been together. It's basically the same core group. And it's not like we don't like hide stuff from them, but we're ourselves with them. Yeah. It's not like we're missing out on being ourselves like a lot of people talk about with their friendships.
Right.
So we have that. And we're not looking for friends. If we become friends with some of our playmates over the years,
that's great. If there's a real big connection, then we have, and we have.
One of those, like I mentioned before, one of those people from 2006, we had lost track of each other, but then we got back together. Me and the guy, we would just hang out and drink whiskey or bourbon a couple times a month, And just so we became friends, but then they moved away, which was a bummer. But that's kind of where that goes.
But I will have to say, anybody that we have come across that we've become good friends with while we've also swing with them is people who are on the same page as us, right? Yeah. So their marriages are solid. We all flirt. It's like a mirror of ourselves, and there's no questions. There's no jealousy between any of the partners. It's just, we all know what we're doing and we're very confident in what's going on. I don't think we can connect with people like that.
We have this conversation between ourselves sometimes, what ifs, just to see. Sure. Obviously you can't come up with every situation that happens, but
totally
listening, like I said, listening to you guys, it brings up some conversations that I start with her from listening to your podcast. So that's beneficial sometimes.
Yeah. No, I love that sort of expansion on, right? You said we have the group of friends, and it sounds like some of them might have been the ones from the hot tub, 20 years ago.
Yeah, correct.
And so, right, you don't have to hide in the way that I think a lot of the people that we talk to, they crack this open a decade in, or even a couple years in, or hell, even us, we were doing this from the beginning, but we really couldn't share it with other people in our lives. And so there was a different need, I think maybe a different desire to build a friendship, to build different friendships, and to build community, because we didn't have those people that we could just be open with.
And you were moving around a lot.
That too.
Because I do think that's a big part of it.
We've been in the same spot forever.
If we were to move away from here, I think our whole goal would change. And it would be, hey, we want to make friends while we do this. That would change the whole type of people we were looking for, I think, if we were to move to someplace new.
I think lack of time too, right? I don't have time to text message a million times with people. Like a lot of people, they want to, we do a group chat or whatever, and that's fine. But if I'm not responding, that's fine too. I'm busy. Yeah. I'm a professional. I have 4 kids. There's always something going, and that's not me. I'm not a small talker.
Yeah.
So I'll let him do a lot of the small talk because I don't care. I will meet you and we'll have a great time, but I don't need that constant back and forth all day long. That's not me.
We don't care how the weather was today.
That's right. It's not raining in the bed, so well, maybe it is. Who knows? You never know.
That'd be interesting.
Depends who you're with.
But I really appreciate that. And maybe there was a thread I wanted to weave in here as well around, you'd said you spent a lot of time on the forums, you made friends all over the country. So it sounds like community is important. What's that?
I said community the same time you did. I knew that's where you were going with that.
Like community sounds like it is important for you, right? And you have your core group of friends who've been your friends forever, and you've added on some other ways to get connected into this space. And it sounds like you still stay up to speed on the forums and on swing lifestyle and everything. And I'm curious what that role of community has been like for you two as you've navigated this.
It was a lot more present and involved with us the first go around, because there was a lot more activity back then. Obviously, the whole FOSTA thing kind of screwed a lot of stuff up. Facebook came along a couple years after we started this. That took a lot of people away from that community. So that it died down with the amount of people that we interacted with. You know, we had the 5 different couples that we had met around the country that we did. You become Facebook friends with them. So you're not using that community forum anymore. You know, it's now you're doing everything through Facebook and all the other apps that came out later on. But so it seems like that part of it died off, I will say. It's not as prevalent anymore. There's still a couple people, but it's not like we're not as close, and there's not people saying, oh yeah, let's meet anymore. It's just not like that. And I don't know if COVID had anything to do with that either, but I think mostly it was Facebook and FOSTA that seemed to be the starting point for that downfall.
Yeah. Well, and it also sounds too like maybe this go around, it's a little less intense. Like it's maybe not as frequent. It's not as much of a cornerstone of your relationship as it. Well, not that it's not important, but it sounds like back then you're like, yeah, we were pretty active. And it sounds like this time it's a little more like, hey, we can just chill on this ride. Like it's a fun ride. We don't have to be as intense about it.
Yeah, he tends to hyper fixate on things. So he can get really super involved, and he's a social butterfly. So he's the one that was on the forums and stuff like that. It wasn't me. I would just kind of join in and have fun, but it really wasn't something that, I'm more, I like my alone time and you know what I mean? That I don't go searching for things usually. But yeah, so it was more.
Back then that website was not blocked at work either. So that was very helpful.
And a little dangerous.
I was taking the risk.
Yeah. So I think, I also think like this time around, because he does have that tendency to hyperfixate, and I didn't want to feel overwhelmed by it at all. I said, okay, listen, like it started off like, oh, we could meet this person. The next day I'm like, all right, we're going to slow down and we're going to do this at my pace. And, so I think he's, slowly just gotten on board with that because, it works out best for us and our family when we're not constantly on the go, right? I need my downtime and I know that, whereas him, he doesn't sit down. So we have learned to adjust through that and make things a little bit smoother for us. So yeah, it is like a bonus thing that we do. I think there's a 3-month period where we've already discovered in our schedules, there's no way we're doing anything or going out meeting anybody. I think our next date is in January. So, you know what I mean? But our family, our life, that comes first. And this is, and I think that is a difference between the last time we did this, where I think sometimes we did it a little too much, where we may have neglected things in our 20s that, looking back, at least I feel that way. I don't know if he does, but maybe not going out, 2 nights in a row when you have little kids, right? Things like that. So I think now it's a little bit easier, smoother.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm curious too how open you are with others in your life. It sounds like with that group of friends.
You made out with them all.
Right. That group of friends probably. But like in general, yeah. How do you navigate that?
The first time around, no one, except for a very select group of friends that were not our friends from high school, but we're like big into poker, and then like my very best friend, she knew, but that was pretty much it. It's not like like he said, we didn't keep anything from anybody, but we didn't really indulge in that conversation because, again, we were in our 20s, and, the thought of other people knowing and the judgment that may come down because we didn't know, right? And you're a lot more self-conscious about that stuff. And then, I think they always had that inkling, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because we were, we were not, we would drink and have fun and flirt with other people and whatever. But, but this time around, our core group knows for sure. My best friend still knows, obviously. Our families do not know.
Dude, I don't know if it's not all the families, but like I've never hidden it. She doesn't want like kids to know. I don't care. I don't care who knows.
I'm not ready for that conversation.
My mother passed away earlier this year, and I don't know. I think she might have known. We never actually had the conversation. But I thought she knew. I don't know if my father knows. They weren't together, but as far as it's not in this way, I kind of differentiate when you ask that open question. So swinging is basically it's like your sex life. You don't broadcast it out to everybody. When you do the poly stuff and all that that you have more people around that you got to explain that somehow. So you tend to be more open about that.
Mm-hmm.
With this, it's just like, it's
just part of our private life.
It's not like we're going around saying, oh yeah, we had sex last night.
Yeah, no.
It doesn't matter if it was with each other or not. We don't,
right.
It's not something you broadcast.
Yeah.
But like with our friends knowing, sometimes they go, how was the party you guys went to? But they don't really ask a lot of questions about it either.
I don't think they really want to know all the details.
Yep.
Yeah. No, that makes complete sense.
Yeah. Which for somebody who wants to know all the details blows my mind that you wouldn't want to know, but okay, fair enough.
Right.
I know.
I do have a couple friends who are like, okay, I need to know more. So
that's right.
Are you sure? Are you sure you want to know more?
You guys had somebody, one of the ones I don't know who it was, but one of the ones I listened to recently where they were telling one of their friends about it. And their only question was, how do you find the time? Yep. They didn't want to know anything else.
Yeah.
And we get that because it is. It's like time's the hardest commodity to find for this.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
For sure.
Without a doubt. During the time where I think there is a piece of this that I love this conversation because we also haven't really talked to people who went into it like pretty intensely and then just sort of stopped, had a big gap and then came back into it in slightly a different way. And in that time where you took the break from swinging, did either of you like miss it? Did it ever come up, or was it sort of like just you shut it off and it just out of sight, out of mind?
Like that's not the phase of life we're in right now.
It fell. It wasn't. We didn't hit stop. It went back burner. Less and less other stuff took up that time, or more stuff took up that time that we were doing for that. Like I said, school took up a lot of time.
Yeah.
And then she went to school. That takes years.
Yeah.
Like I said, I would go on the forums occasionally. I missed it a little bit, but it wasn't, I knew we didn't have the time for it. So there was really nothing else to do.
He would bring it up every once in a while. Like, oh, we should, but like he said, it was just, our lives were so completely full that we really just did not have any room for it.
Yeah.
And, I think we were growing as well, like, through those years as people, right? We were going to school. We were, becoming, better parents and, doing all sorts of things, growth wise. So, I'm grateful for the break that we had because I think it helped us be able to go back into it with even a more positive mindset than we had before, which I thought was pretty good. So, I think the growth happened during those years. Yeah. So, he definitely mentioned it a few times. I'm like, all right, yeah, maybe eventually, you know what I mean? But I finished my degree about 2 years ago now. And then we got back into it pretty quickly after that. I would say at least we started talking about it and getting the ball rolling.
Yeah, it's like riding a bike. We didn't forget how to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense.
And hey, lucky for you, like we said, all the tools are still the same. The website's unchanged. Right? Just pick it up like it's 2006. Right. Like, hey, here we are, just like it was back then.
Back then we didn't have apps.
There you go.
Yeah.
So that's definitely something that's different. But although, like you said, SLS's app sucked. And I don't even know about the other ones.
We can assume. Well, we'll just assume.
Web browsers, yeah.
I love it.
I'm curious, like, what are you moving forward? What do you see any changes? Are you pretty like found your groove? You feel like this work is working right now? And I guess I'm just.
What are you excited for?
Yeah,
that's the way it feels right now. Like I mentioned earlier, we'd be trying to do more of the hotel parties, farther away things where we were changing it up with travel as well, going to different places, checking out different areas and that kind of stuff. Other than that, just checking out the different parties and stuff, new places. Mm-hmm. We've lived here. We know it's here.
Yeah, it's exciting.
Yeah, I think we're in a solid place. I don't see things really changing too much as far as what we're looking for or, how we're going about things for sure. It's definitely working. So I don't anticipate a change anytime soon. That being said, like we're pretty open people. So, whatever comes, we'll figure it out.
Yeah. I love it. Well, I think one of my favorite parts about this, I don't want to say the typical swingers have better blooper stories.
Oh yeah, I'm waiting.
But I also think that is true because we find ourselves in some weird places. So I'm curious if you two have one or two that you would want to share, and who knows, maybe we even talk about them for a second.
She brought up one the other day because I thought you guys might ask this. So I'm going to tell. I had one of my own, but I'm going to tell her since she doesn't remember it. And this just from the old days, I guess. We had met with somebody and, we went out to dinner, thought everything was going great.
Oh, yeah.
Then, all right, you take over if that's the case.
So we go out to dinner. Everything's a go. We have a couple of drinks, whatever. They're like, hey, you want to come back to our place? And I'm like, yeah, sure. So we go back to their place. And, I'm by and me and the girl were, fooling around and stuff. And, the boys had come into the bedroom and then all of a sudden, the one guy says to him, and I hear it, the one guy says to him, oh no, we just do girl stuff. But that was never said. It was never
wasn't in the profile. Nothing.
It was nothing. So me and her were like mid whatever. Right. And I'm just like, I was taken aback. I was like, all right, well, and then I got up and I go, okay, I guess we're done then. You know what I mean? Because I was like, I'm not going to be pushed into a trap like that. I know that wouldn't make me happy if that was the case. So, that wasn't what we were looking for. So,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, good for
I just
you.
could not believe that.
But to get yourself out of that situation, that's impressive.
Yeah, it was probably one of my more impressive moments in that type of situation, I would say.
Yeah, to just be like, well, then I guess we're done. Like, I mean, sticking up for the need for good communication, and it wasn't there, and you didn't feel good, and to be able to pull out bad pun, to be able to pull out of a situation in the middle of it, like, good on you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then another one that's, I'll call it this time around. We went out again, dinner, whatever, with this couple. We hit it off, we talked a lot ahead of time, and we had a great dinner. So we're like, all right, we're going to go get a hotel room. Now, I'm not short. I'm like 5'10". This guy's like 6'4", and the girl's probably 2 or 3 inches than her. When we get back,
I'm 5'2.5". So.
Yeah. So, we're at it. We got this hotel room. It's one queen bed or something, and we're doing all the stuff, changing around. Everybody's having fun, getting through the night. We're switching positions and all that stuff. It's getting later on, and me and the other woman switched to doggy style. And I don't know if it's just, I wasn't thinking ahead, but she's like, she's really high in the air, so I can't be on my knees. So I got to kind of squat down to do this. And we do it. We're going. They're right next to us. They're in missionary. And I ended up finishing in that position. Right. And shortly after I did, I didn't have much time to move. I collapsed and I fell over on top of him as he's going. And she didn't even notice it. So I'm like, man, this guy's got a really strong core. Because we were talking to laugh about it afterwards. She's like, I didn't even notice that. And then we're done. We're all laughing. And they're like, well, why didn't you just have her spread out her legs a little more so she got lower? I'm like, well, fuck, because I didn't think of that.
She was used to having somebody so tall.
Yeah.
But it's funny because when me and the guy were, going at it or whatever, he's like, all right, you need to put your knees together a little bit more because I remember I'm a lot taller. But, it's one of those things. You don't really even think about that stuff, right? Until you're in it because you've never experienced that. So
yeah, something quite so different. Like the different body shape sizes and how they fit together and what accommodations you might need to make.
Yeah.
Which makes me think that when on the profiles it lists, height, weight, all these things, femur length.
Yeah.
Femur length is important.
Yeah, right.
Do we have the same length femurs? Will we fit together? I believe that is an important metric.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because now, I mean, I have a preference for height. And now I'm like, okay, is he too tall? And you think about this some more. How is this going to logistically work? How am I going to work this one? Right. So.
Awesome. I love it.
The puzzles we have to solve in this world.
Yeah.
They're not bad puzzles, third world problems.
Yeah.
No, for sure. For sure. Well, is there anything else we've talked about a lot, and this has been super fun. I don't know, I love these conversations. When we started the show, one of the reasons we started it was we love the first date conversation. And this is sort of that. Like we get to go out.
Yeah.
Without going out, we get to do it with people around the world and hear like that sort of first date, how it goes. And so is there anything that we haven't asked about or talked about that you wanted to make sure the world got to hear about your journey together?
Yeah.
No, just, people who are listening that maybe haven't taken that step yet, just, there's no expectations, just go at your own speed. I think that's the gloriness of having a podcast like this is because you get to hear all of the different stories and the different introductions into whatever lifestyle, right? And I think that's the important takeaway is that everyone's story is different. So I think that's important.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I love that. Once again, thank you both for coming on, for sharing, a little bit of a spin on a different journey, a different spin on a journey we've heard before with some new twists. So
thank you.
Yeah,
that was fun. We appreciate it.
Excellent.
Awesome.
Well, with that, we'll let you have a wonderful afternoon.
Yeah, thank you again.
All right.
Thank you.
Take care.
And we're back.
Oh, we nailed it. I wanted to do a same timer just to wrap it up.
For the last one of the year.
I thought it was appropriate.
Thank you, Rose and Spade, for coming on, sharing everything you did, and just being awesome humans. We really loved talking with you and can't wait to get your story out there.
Yeah. Thank you, Rose. Thank you, Spade. And we're just excited to see where it goes. I think we'll probably have a follow-up on this one, too. I mean, that's all of them.
Yeah, true. We're always, why not?
I think I get invested in their story, and then I want to see where it goes.
Yeah, more updates as life continues.
Exactly. Well, with that, we just wanted to say once again, thank you to everybody who has been a part of this show, whether you're just a listener or you've come on, as Emma said in the intro. Thank you.
We hope everyone has had a wonderful 2023 and are looking forward to 2024. Happy early new year. And next week, come back for the first episode of 2024. We will talk with Noah.
Yep. This is a really great conversation. Noah is the CEO of Bloom or Bloom Community App, which you've heard us talk about before and you're probably familiar with. So this is a fantastic conversation and we are excited. We will see you in 2024.
Bye, everyone. Thanks for listening.